What's going on, Ride the Wave Nation? I'm Jake Seymour, and I'm joined with Jamison Rin, and we are recording
Yeah.
the third episode of the Garbage Patch Podcast. In this podcast, we expose the worst topics in the sports world. This podcast is sponsored by 1-in-100. Have you ever want to see your favorite sports team play but don't have the money? Well, head over to 1in100.co, and you can score big tickets to the biggest games for a fraction of the price. Head over to ONEIN and the number 100.co to purchase your raffle tickets and have a chance to win tickets to a sporting event or concert. Make sure to follow them on Instagram at 1in100 official. Again, that is ONEIN and the number 100. So we got our first topic tonight. Game 7 at the Garden. Bruins and Blues. And Bruins didn't get it done. Lost 4-1 in a game that they should have won for the Stanley Cup. Jamison, what's your take?
Man, don't even get me started on this BS. All right. The Bruins, okay, yeah. When you look at the stats, they had like double the shots on net. It was like 43 and 23. 43 Bruins shots on net and 23 shots on net for the Blues. But you can take as many crazy whatnot trick shots on net, and you can just huck it, just throw the puck at the net. But it's about the quality of shots. All right. The Blues had some quality 23 shots on net. Quality, good Stanley Cup Finals kind of shots. And when you look at the Bruins, they had 43 crappy, no good, not thinking about what you're doing kind of shots. And that's just unacceptable. Like, it leaves me speechless that these people aren't trying to perform at the best of their ability. Yeah, I bet they are, but they're not doing it. They're not putting in visible effort. Yeah, you might be thinking you're putting in effort, but it has to be visible, because visible is action. And with that action, you actually get things done. And the Boston Bruins weren't putting in visible effort. They were taking crappy shots. Yeah, they did have great. They kept the offensive pressure up. But when you have that momentum, all right, they had it the entire game until that first goal. And then they had it again. And then the Blues got the puck again, and then they scored. It's just that little chance that the Blues got, they capitalized on that. The Bruins had I'm exaggerating, obviously, but a ton of chances to score, but they wasted them away with just shots that didn't matter, that you weren't thinking. You were just hitting the puck to hit the puck, to score a goal. That was I'm just going to hit it to score a goal. Hope it goes in. No, you have to be thinking, okay, I need to put this in the top right corner, all right? I got to fake Bennington out and then go under. You have to be thinking about what you're doing and putting in visible effort. And I didn't see that with the Boston Bruins, and I'm disappointed in that. And I wish that the coaching staff just slapped them in the face and said, wake the hell up and play some damn hockey. All right, that's all you, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely disappointing. I mean, I was watching it with my dad, and I mean, we've seen, we watched some pretty good games together in the last year. I mean, we watched the Super Bowl together, watched the Sox win the World Series, and, sitting there watching that game, I was like,
Happy Father's Day, by the way. Happy Father's Day.
Happy Father's Day. Shout out to all the fathers out there. Al Horford's hanging out with Joel Embiid, his kid, today. Really nice day.
Wait.
Anyway,
Al Horford's hanging out with Joel Embiid?
Yeah, his kid. He's taking care of him. He's spending time with his kids.
Oh.
All right, but anyways, I was sitting there watching the game.
Joel Embiid.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching the game, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup, and I was talking to my dad. I'm like, do we I think we're gonna win this, but I don't know. I got a bad feeling about tonight. And he's like, yeah, something's not right. I'm not feeling it. And I'm like, yeah, someone's gonna go wrong. I know it. And I just noticed the first half of the first period, I was like, okay, they're not playing Bruins hockey, big bad Bruins hockey. I'm like, you know what? That's just gonna go because it's a young group of guys. This is the Game 7 of the Cup. They're nervous. You get the jitters, the butterfly in the stomachs. I get that, but I was thinking that's gonna go away. First period, Blues score. Like, all right, they got one puck in the net, and that's going to be it. Bruins going to come back and another goal, and that's going to be it. Like, the Bruins played a pretty awful rest of the game, and then rest of the first period, and then let the Blues score with 7 seconds left in the first period. Like, dude, we had 7 seconds left in the period. You guys just couldn't hold on for 7 seconds. That's it. You just had to hold on for 7 seconds, and then you could have went back to the locker room and debriefed with the team and figure out what you need to do to come out from this 1-0 deficit. And instead, you're down 2-0 going into the second period. Unacceptable. And then, not to mention, the effort, like you were saying, Jamison.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I kind of thought it was there a little bit, but I got aggravated, when they would set stuff up, and, I don't know a ton about the hockey plays, but I know, it works really well if you set stuff up. And you have the puck, you just pass around and, wait for the open shot. But when they get the puck, I don't know what it's called, but, behind the net, so behind the net almost,
mm-hmm.
and someone has it, and they're, moving it, and they pass it up, and then that guy passes it over, all the way around. I noticed a lot when the guy behind the net has the puck, and he passes it to the guy at the top. The guy at the top loses the puck, and then gets a turnover, and the Bruins have to reset the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then, the subs have to come, and the Blues, get a fresh legs, and the Bruins are kind of stuck, and it, ruins the tempo. Because you had something going, and then you just lost it. And that happened way too many times with the Bruins in Game 7. This was a do-or-die situation for the Bruins. You're at the Garden. You have home ice. There was no excuse not to go out and play your hearts out. And there wasn't even an excuse if you lost. If the Bruins went to overtime with the Blues, or even if it was, a 2-2 game going into the third period, and the Blues scored off, a crazy goal that,
mm-hmm.
and it would have been, I would be sitting here right now being like, you know what? Is what it is. Tip your hat off. But that's not what happened. The Bruins came out and just did not play Bruins hockey, and they lost. And, the Celtics, they didn't play good either their season. But we had a chance to have 3 out of the 4 major league professional sports leagues win the championship from Boston. We had a chance for all 4, and the Celtics got out. We definitely had a chance for 3 of those. And, the Bruins just didn't show up. They didn't want it. And, the guys on the Blues, they wanted it. They wanted to come out to the Garden, and they wanted to win. They wanted to make sure that cup came back to St. Louis. And they did. The cup went back to St. Louis. And now it's been 40-plus years now since the cup's been raised by the Bruins in the Garden. It's unacceptable. And it hasn't
40-plus years, bro?
Yeah, it's been since the 70s. It's been in Boston, and it hasn't happened at the new Garden yet.
We won in, 2011.
No, we won in 2011, but the cup was raised in Vancouver.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying? It's been a long time since the Bruins have won in Boston.
Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. That's true. That's a big part of.
That's the big part.
That they should have put in effort. They should have saw that we need to do this for the city that's supported us. That's why we're so pissed. Okay.
Yeah.
If they played tough and they played Bruins hockey and they lost, then that's inevitable. Looking back, it would be like, oh yeah, that was inevitable. They were going to lose either way because Bennington was so good, and it was just the defense really stepped up for the Blues, but they didn't. They played poor hockey, and I'm not don't quote me on anything I say about hockey, but I do have some valid points, but they didn't show up. I know that they didn't show up for Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it was just definitely embarrassing. I was embarrassed by the performance. I didn't even play. I get so worked up into these games for Boston sports that I get embarrassed when my team doesn't do good. And I didn't even step on the field or step on the ice. And you know why? Because I go on my Instagram section on my Instagram feed or just scroll through looking at the NHL page, and I see just people coming out of nowhere just shitting on my team. And I'm sorry, but that gets me that's upset. That upsets me a lot because that's my team. I don't like my team being crapped on like that. I want to see my team winning and being the team that's crapping on the other team, not the other way around. But yeah, we can move on to our next topic now. It was unfortunate that the Bruins lost, but got to move on. So, David Ortiz was unfortunately shot. I believe it was last Sunday night. I believe sometime around there. It was last week. He was shot in the Dominican Republic. I'm honestly still confused on the story details, but from what it was originally proposed as a robbery, but then it was changed over to an ambush and a murder. And now there are reports coming out that the murder was plotted inside a U.S. jail and somehow got to this drug lord. So, give me my thoughts on this whole David Ortiz scenario. First of all, I want to say, hope Ortiz comes back stronger than ever from this. He fully recovers. Great guy. I think he did a lot for not only Boston but for the Dominican in general. Like the stuff he did for the Dominican, like when you think of the Dominican Republic, like of just like big figures there, you think of David Ortiz, and it's just unfortunate that like that report coming out was like he was hanging out with some like girl or whatever, but it's just unfortunate that's like David Ortiz is like icon in the Dominican, someone that's so valued and like looked up as like kids are like idling him, gets like shot like that, and it's just like it's an imagery for the Dominican. It just shows how corrupt the Dominican really is. It's really unfortunate. I mean, I hope he comes back stronger. I mean, you don't want to see anyone go through this. It is nice to know that he's in Mass General Hospital. It's one of the best hospitals in the world. So
in the country.
Jamison, wow. What are your thoughts on that?
Like you were saying, he's done so much for the country, and people who disrespect someone who's genuinely trying to help, because I believe that Dave Ortiz is a really great person, and yeah, he might be he might have slept with a drug lord's mistress, but also, how dare people drag his name through the dirt, make it look like it's his fault? It's not his fault. I don't care what you say. He's David Ortiz. He's done so much for this country, and maybe that was wrong in a sense of moral, like, I don't know, things, but you don't shoot a man over that. That's just facts. Like, and maybe that's just that you don't shoot a man over. You might have an argument with them. You might threaten them to maybe, like, you might threaten them to do something, but you don't actually try to kill them. And yeah, he shouldn't have done that, but still, and he's David Ortiz. You have to see that. You have to think about it for a second and realize that he's done so much for that country, and it's just disrespectful to his name and disrespectful to the country for trying to kill him. That's huge.
Yeah, when it comes to shooting someone, like obviously you don't want to see anyone get shot, and it's really unfortunate when someone is shot. But there's not more, I guess, like morally, there's like a list, you could say, that like if you do something like it's inevitable or like it's not okay, but it's almost okay that you're gonna be shot in a way. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but like if you murder someone, like I know like someone's gonna come shoot me probably, right? Like someone's gonna come after me because I murdered someone. But even if David Ortiz did sleep with this guy's like wife or whatever, that's not a reason to shoot someone. Like there's a short list of stuff that like you can say, all right, yeah. I mean, you don't go up to it because shoot someone is awful, but you can almost like see it and understand it a little bit. But sleeping with someone's wife or girl like isn't a reason to go out and shoot like that. Like maybe you get in like a fist fight with them, if that. But that's the furthest you go. Like you don't cross that line. You don't cause like David Ortiz literally could die any minute almost. Like he's in stable condition now.
Yeah.
But when he was flying from the Dominican last Monday to Boston, like there was a very, very high chance that he wasn't gonna make it. Even that night, like it's crazy. Imagine it, God forbid, David Ortiz did die from that, and he was dead. Like that would be insane. Like David Ortiz is such a legend, and like I've never left the U.S. or been to the Dominican. My grandparents have been down there, and they bought me this ball. It said Dominican in Spanish, and it's had like David Ortiz on it. And they said that when they were down there, they were at a gift store and they were talking to the people at the gift store, the owners, about David Ortiz, and they were saying like how much like they appreciate him and how much they like look up to him, and they like really talk really highly of them. And then once they found out my grandparents were from Mass and like from Boston and stuff, like they really like looked up to them now, saying like, oh my God, like you're from the same spot where David Ortiz played baseball, and they were like extremely kind to him and like gave him stuff like like the little the necklace flies, I can't think of what they're called, like hats and stuff, and they were like, take it, like here, and like they're being wicked kind to him. about it, and it's just like it's heartwarming to see like a guy like that just got raised up and just went out and played Major League Baseball, made such a big impact on a country like that, and then it's just such a heartwarming story and just a nice story, and that it's just sad that something like that could happen to him.
And that's a whole country. I don't like. Yeah, the Dominican Republic is a small island, but that is a nation. That is a very proud nation, and to unite a whole country, that's almost like godlike. And when you're threatening David Ortiz's life, Big Poppy's life, you're threatening the country, and that's who he is. Like when you threaten some people's life, like you're not threatening America, but in this scenario, in this case, trying to kill Ortiz was an attempted murder on the Dominican Republic. And that's just, I don't know if that makes certain sense, but you're attacking the Dominican Republic since when you're attacking David Ortiz. Yeah,
and we even saw like when the shooter shot David Ortiz. I don't know if like any of you guys have seen it, but Cinematic Films, aka Gene, he's a writer for us for the NBA for Ratherweight Media. He was the first one that reported this, and the first one that I found out through him. And he was telling me like you got to go on Twitter and just watch the videos, just watch them. And I saw the video of David Ortiz get shot, and there was no blood, it was all black and white. But it was so crazy to see like I look up to David Ortiz, like he's like my favorite baseball player of all time. So to see someone like I look at him as like almost like this like not like almost like a godlike figure in a way. Yeah. He's like so big and like just so much stuff, and just see him crumble like that was like it broke my heart a little bit. And then
it was heartbreaking.
It was heartbreaking. It was.
I felt it in my soul, like deep down. I don't know if you like when someone gets hurt in your family or something like that, you really feel like that. And being from Boston, the sports here, it's so united. Like Boston is, when it comes to sports, people are very united. Like this is our team, this is our player. We're gonna stand behind you, unless you don't stand behind Boston. You don't play for Boston. Like you don't play your heart out. Example, Kyrie Irving. He didn't play for Boston.
Play for the name in the front of the shirt, not on the back.
Yeah, he didn't play for Boston, and he in Boston saw that, and now they hate him.
Yeah, but going back to that David Ortiz thing, so like I saw videos of the shooting, and I rewatched it to figure out what happened, and I was while on the Twitter, reading what people were saying, trying to figure out like because like at first it was just like when the story was just breaking. It was CDN 37, I believe, which is like a big, I think it's like the equivalent to like ABC News down there, like a really big like news company down there. And I was trying to figure out like what they were saying and try and piece together stuff. And I saw a video of the shooter getting beaten up and by the community. And he was unrecognized. Like you could see like he was like a dark-skinned guy. Like, and he had so much blood on his face that it made it look like his face was like red and like his just arms and stuff was like dark skinned. And it was like I'm sitting there looking at it and like I felt bad for Ortiz, but then like I was like at the same time like, oh my god, like this guy has got like this is insane. And like
I don't feel bad.
Like, I'm still even now looking back on it, like I don't use the word like or a lot when I'm talking like this, and I'm still at a loss for words for it. Like the stuff that David Ortiz did for that country and the stuff that David Ortiz did for Boston and with the kids and just like helping everyone come together, for that to happen to him, like that should be the last person in the Dominican that should happen to, like the very last person. It's just crazy to me, really. I'm at a loss for words still.
Like when you compare like sleeping with someone's wife to what he's done to a country and a city and a people, like he's like you said, he almost united like Boston and the Dominican Republic, like not at such a big level, but like he united people. He did a huge he did so many things, and it just to try to kill someone for that, it's just it I don't know.
It's just insane. David Ortiz is such a legend. It's just sad to see like someone like him who has just done so much for the not only Boston, but he's done so much for the Dominican and Boston. But you always see him when he played for the Red Sox, and even to this day, he always like makes sure like the kids of Boston are taken care of, and the kids of the Dominican have like the health care they have, and like making sure they're always staying out of trouble. Like I've heard so many stories of David Ortiz being in the Dominican and seeing a kid going through a hardship and like giving him like a baseball bat, a baseball, and a glove, and just saying like, just play baseball. Don't like you can get out of this. Like look at me. Like I was like you. I was into hardship coming from the Dominican, because the Dominican's a third world country. It's a poverty country, and David Ortiz managed to play baseball and rise himself out of to the Dominican and into the major leagues, where he made so much money. And it's just nice to see that like someone like David Ortiz is giving back to what he came from. You don't see a ton of athletes do that nowadays. You always see like, not to throw people like under the bus, but Tim Thomas, that guy's been gone. Like I haven't heard him in like the last 10 years. He just disappeared off the face of the earth. And David Ortiz, like he's been retired for about 3 years now, 4 years, and he's still giving back to not only Boston, but still giving back to the Dominican, making sure everyone's taken care of. Just really nice to see from someone like that, who's such a legend and an icon that people look up to.
He's a real man.
Yeah.
That's that.
But going into our next topic, Game 5 of the NBA Finals. It was the Warriors at Toronto. They were playing the Raptors, and KD ruptured his Achilles in the game. Achilles, I'm sure everyone has seen the video on SportsCenter. Achilles ruptured while he was driving on the wing. He went down on the floor in obvious pain, was looking around and just like almost in disbelief almost. And the city of Toronto, the people outside the arena and inside the arena, started cheering that Kevin Durant went down with this ruptured Achilles. And I was watching this when it happened, and I was in shock that like a city and like a team of fans could cheer for this. Like when I go to games and someone gets hurt, like I don't cheer that they're hurt. I might, you might think like, oh, like we don't have to worry about him now. Like that's a little bit of relief, but you're not happy because of it. You want to see the best of the best playing the best of the best. That's why the NBA Finals are such a big game. And like Toronto was just absolutely like being disrespectful to Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
it was insane.
Shame on you, Toronto. Yeah, you are a fantastic city. Back to you're a united front. You're kind of you're a city that holds the world's people. But I don't care who you are as a person, what you look like, who you represent, what you think, your opinions. Shame on you. Shame on you for beating a man when he's down. All right, Kevin Durant. Myers said it best. The head of operations for Golden State. Kevin Durant loves to play basketball. He loves to play basketball, and all the NBA players love to play basketball. But Kevin Durant brings it to a whole nother level, and to cheer when someone like that, such a fantastic player, how dare you? How dare you do that? Shame on you. You don't deserve an NBA championship. Yes, you do deserve an NBA championship because your players worked their asses off. They worked their asses off, and they were a united front against the Golden State Warriors to win an NBA championship. But if that's the type of people that are celebrating this, I don't think they deserve it. I'm taking the most extreme route, but they cheered when Klay Thompson got injured. Jurassic Park, they started freaking out. Drake and his crew in his watch party, they were the only people caught on camera, that were visibly upset. And when you listen to the tape you listen to the background noises of when Clay got hurt and the camera went to Drake. And that arena, the watch party at the Scotiabank Arena, is cheering. They're cheering that it goes to Jurassic Park when Clay gets injured. They are cheering. Shame on you. shame on you. How dare you be that person? How dare you cheer for a life-ending injury? And yeah, I'm saying life-ending because basketball is their lives. Kevin Durant wouldn't be a real person. He wouldn't achieve such potential. He wouldn't be who he is today without basketball. That's his life. All these sports players, they're not seen as people, but let's look at a regular person, someone who's not getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. Like let's look at me. I'll throw myself under the bus. I love writing. That's my thing. I want to do that in the future. Why not? I'm good at it. Um, why not? Let's say you take away writing from me. That's my life. Okay. Let's say in the future I do become a journalist. You take away writing from me. That's my life. This injury is taking away basketball, and then people are cheering for it. They want it's like they wanted this to happen. How dare you? Shame on you, Toronto. Shame on you, Canada, for doing this. Unacceptable.
Yeah, and the other thing too is this: the Raptors might be from Toronto and based in Toronto, but the Toronto Raptors represent all of Canada, not just Toronto. Like when we think of like the Boston Celtics or the New York Knicks, like the Celtics, they represent Boston and New England. The New York Knicks, they represent New York. Like, but Toronto, the Raptors, they represent all of Canada. There has only been two basketball teams, I believe, in Canada: the Vancouver Grizzlies and the Toronto Raptors. And Vancouver Grizzlies moved to Memphis, so now there's only one team in Canada. So one nation is just rallying behind this team, and the fact that something like this, and they're like excited because of this, it's just insane. And like Kevin Durant is such a good player and a once in a generation player where he's so versatile and just like a good player in general.
You're never going to see a lethal scorer like him.
Exactly. He's so good and just like he's so good at just carrying the Warriors in a way because he's helped the Warriors so much in the years that he's been with the team. That's just like undeniable. Like he's helped the team a lot. And so when like he went down, it was just you could see it with the Warriors. They were looking at like, oh my god, like we just lost Kevin Durant. And again, it's just wicked unfortunate that happened. And we're gonna look at back on this finals in 5 to 10 years, and we're gonna see Toronto Raptors beat Golden State Warriors in 6. But there's gonna be a little asterisk next to that, and it's gonna say you're gonna click on the asterisk, and it's gonna say Klay Thompson was injured. And it's going to say Kevin Durant missed most of the finals with the exception of the first quarter and the first and a half quarters of Game 5. Like, this team, I love that the Warriors lost. Don't get me wrong. I'm happy the Warriors lost because I want to see a change in it. But I'm not happy that they lost the way they lost. I wanted to see this NBA Finals have Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond Green be 100% going against Kawhi Leonard and the Toronto Raptors. And I was really hoping Kevin Durant was going to come back for Game 5 and honestly beat Toronto 3-1. I was really hoping that the Warriors were going to come back from this deficit, and imagine how funny that would be. We always say, oh, the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. And that would have been about 3 years later, the Warriors came back from a 3-1 lead. That would be so ironic. So ironic. And I mean, okay, yes, they did come back from a 3-1 lead in the Western Conference Finals that one year, the year that they blew the 3-1 lead. But that's different. That's in the Conference Finals. We're talking about the NBA Finals. There's so much difference there.
And I want to say something like this topic we're talking about. Yeah, we did drift into like Kevin Durant, the Raptors winning and taking advantage of the injuries, but Golden State did that. But my point is the people of Canada and the fans of Toronto Raptors enjoying the moment that Kevin Durant, his life has just been shattered. He's going to have to go through so much pain and humiliation and hate and just struggle to get back to where he was. And he might not even get back to where he was. But you're cheering for that, all right? You would never cheer for you're a family member or anyone like that. Because, guys, these basketball players, they're people too. They go through the same problems that we do in high school. I don't know, anything. They have gone through these problems, and they're going through problems that regular people go through. And when they're put on this stage and held to the standards and put on this pedestal, people forget about that. And this injury, yes, it ends their career, but it's the same exact thing, like you getting fired from a job that is your life. That firing is ending your life. Like, that's the same thing with an injury. It's ending Kevin Durant's life. But hopefully he will get back. He has that chance because of him being Kevin Durant and the funding and the support of the NBA. He has a chance to come back, and I think that's fantastic. But just, again, shame on you, Canada, for hating on Kevin, or cheering in his darkest moment of his entire life that we know of. Shame on you, Canada.
Yeah, and going back on what you were saying about the injuries with taking advantage of injuries, I'm all for that. If someone's out and you get a mismatch, go by all means take the mismatch.
That's the game.
Do it. That's the game.
That's
part of the game.
We're not talking about the game. Like, yeah, I love talking about the game, but we're talking about the people who support the Raptors and their response. The players, they play basketball, and they played the Toronto Raptors. I believe they had a fair chance of beating the Warriors with Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson. It's just, I'm sorry, but they have a fair chance if they played at their peak. But who knows? We'll never know because Kevin Durant and Klay got hurt. But that's just basketball. That's just life, and things happen. And the Toronto Raptors, the basketball team took advantage of that, and that is fine. They saw their opportunity and they took it, and that is acceptable. But the people of Toronto cheering for Katie's injury, cheering for Klay's injury, that's unacceptable. That's shameful.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see the points with the mismatches, but yeah, I mean, I just really wish that this is such a bad way to end this dynasty. The Warriors were this powerhouse in the NBA, definitely. And they were almost like let me geek out here, but they were almost like the Roman Empire in a way. They were so powerful and just covered so much ground, and that they had so much stuff going on that to see them crumble just because of two players going down, and them I guarantee you, if Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson went down last finals. Yeah, okay, yeah, one player. I guarantee you, if Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant went down last NBA Finals, I guarantee you Warriors wouldn't have won that Finals. It was a LeBron-led team with no supporting cast. But this one being led by Kawhi Leonard with a better supporting cast outmatched that Cavs team, and it was almost an equal match between the two teams. You had maybe Pascal and Serge Ibaka and Kyle Lowry, maybe they're not those all-star superstars like the Warriors have,
but they shine in the biggest moments.
They're so good. In this playoffs, they proved themselves. We can play basketball at a high level. And that's what it took for the Raptors to win. These players showing it. I really wish the Warriors were healthy because I really think this would have been a very interesting game. And I think right now we'd be sitting here talking about Game 7 of the NBA Finals and not the Raptors cheering when Kevin Durant went down with Klay Thompson. It's insane.
Shame on you, Canada. I'm just flabbergasted that people can have such little heart. I'm amazed. I knew this world was screwed up, but this is basketball. This is supposed to be a happy thing. This is supposed to bring joy to people's lives. Even if your team lose, it's still basketball, though. And you will get joy from watching basketball and playing basketball. But that just shows that you have little heart. Little to no heart to cheer for a man whose life has just crumbled before everyone's eyes. Shame on you, Canada.
And I respect what Toronto did with their, with their scheme when Kevin Durant went down. And as a fan, I understand, you might get, when someone goes down, when the Celtics are playing a really good team, and I'll use Kevin Love. When Kevin Love dislocated his shoulder in the playoffs a couple years back, I wasn't happy that he got dislocated, but in a way, I thought to myself, this is good for the Celtics because they don't have to worry about Kevin Love. I wasn't happy Kevin Love got hurt. Like, I would love to see Kevin Love play that playoffs and not get hurt. You hate to see anyone get hurt. But as a fan, you think, too, like, this is almost great for us because we don't have to worry about Kevin Durant. And I understand that, but you don't cheer when someone goes down like that.
That's just the
and to be clapping and, like, jumping up and down, you don't do that. You gasp and go, like, oh, my God, like, we don't have to worry about Kevin Durant now. And then you kind of get shocked. But you don't cheer like that.
Unacceptable.
And, everyone talks about this is Canada's team. This was Canada. This is Canada, too. This just put a bad reputation on Canada. And with this whole cheering thing now, we're going to look back and, there's going to be 10 years from now, I'm going to say, hey, remember when Kevin Durant went down in that Raptors finals and the Raptors were cheering? This is going to be one of those fan moments that just stick there. And I'm sorry, Canada, but you guys really blew it. This is going to stick with you for, forever. This is going to be up there with those fans that, streak the court during games or, that Ron Artest fight when he went into the fan section and was, punching people. This is going to be one of those fan things that just sticks there. And you're going to be, talking about finals, and you're going to be like, yo, remember when Kevin Durant went down and Toronto was cheering, and then they cheered the next game when Klay Thompson went down? It's going to be one of those things that's going to stick with you. And, that stuff sticks forever. It's never going to go away.
They might not be talking about it a lot right now in the news, but you will not forget about this. People that do not like the Toronto Raptors will remind you of this. And even you will remember this. If you're a Toronto Raptors fan listening right now, you should, and you cheered or you didn't cheer, you should still feel guilty that this is your group of fans that wanted the worst for someone. And that's just, as an NBA fan, you should not. People expect more things from you. Who cares if you get into a fight with another fan during the game? That's expected. But to cheer for one of the worst things in sports is just unacceptable. Shameful.
This is going to be one of those things
it's disgusting. It is absolutely disgusting.
I feel like Toronto cheering for these injuries is going to be the same thing that happens with Boston when Boston is framed as a racist city, that we use racist slurs towards people, which those that only happens once in a million times. I've been to so many sporting events in Boston. I've been to at least 20 Celtics games in my lifetime, and never once have I heard any fan use a racist slur towards people. So the fact that when I'm out repping my Boston Celtics jersey or my Patriots stuff, and I'm out in a spot where there's other teams there that other fan teams, and I'm talking to them about the sport, and they look at me and say, "Oh, Boston's a racist city." I look at them, I'm like, dude, you know how many I've been to at least like I said 20 Celtics games and probably at least 30 Boston sporting events, and I've never seen anyone use the N-word or use any other racist slur like that. And James, I'm sure you can speak the same way. I've never heard that. Yeah, okay, I might have heard it when people are talking to their buddies or something, but I've never heard them say it to a player. And it's just that one thing that happens, and it ruins the whole thing, and we all get categorized into that. Exactly.
Everyone, we're in school, we're in working. No, I've never heard Boston, and I've never heard Boston call them anything.
Derogatory term. Yeah.
Derogatory term. And that's just this is a perfect example of how something can blow up in your face. But this was all of Toronto. This just wasn't one person.
All of Canada.
This is all of Canada and cheering. We couldn't see people at home what their reaction was, but we saw the diehard fans who would wait in that gigantic line just to watch it in Jurassic Park and have that experience. They were the diehard fans who wanted to watch with the other diehard fans, and they cheered for Kevin Durant going down. Unacceptable. Shame on you, Canada. I've said it 1,000 times now, but I mean it. Shame.
Yeah. But with that being said, probably going to wrap this podcast up. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure to check back next week. We will be recording the 4th episode of the Garbage Patch Podcast, and Jamison and I will be joined with Ken and Bodak, and we're going to be recording Boston Power Hour. I believe that's the 6th episode.
6th episode, yep.
6th episode. So make sure to tune in for that. Follow Ride the Wave Media on Instagram at Ride the Wave Media, and make sure to check out 1 in 100. Again, their Instagram is official. 1 in 100 official. That's their Instagram. They're behind the Boston Youth Movement. They're behind us. They're supporting us. Go support them. They're behind us. You guys are behind us. So if you're behind us, you got to be behind them too. They're with us. So guys, we're going to see you guys next week. And make sure if you guys ever want to see any topics, head over to our Instagram pages. Jamison is I.am.basketball. And I'm Boston Sports Center 617.
Right on.
All right, guys. See you guys next week.
Right on.
Right on, boys.